He was born half a man, half a fish. His name was CodEye. Shunned by a cruel society, he retreated to his shack. His one passion was to tell stories, but he had no stories. He met a traveling man who would regale him with tales. One day CodEye did him over and decided to ignore the copyright infringements. These are those stories.
Today I'm going to regale you with a joke. It was my 18th birthday and my first time in a pub. I happened to overhear this joke. I never fully understood it at the time, but hopefully it'll be clear to the rest of you. Imagine, if you will, you are sat in a pub. There, on the table next to you, are 3 men. As I recall, one was an Irishman named Paddy, a typical Irish name. The other one was a Scotsman named, what's a typical Scottish name? Eugene. And the final one was an Englishman called, Horatio. These 3 men were sat crowded around a small table. Paddy sat staring aimlessly into an empty pint glass, while Horatio was still drinking his pint, and Eugene sat reading a newspaper. I recollect the headline being something to do with immigrants, but I'm not sure. Eugene then peered over the top of his paper.
Hey, get this right.
Horatio put down his pint, and Paddy's head rose up from looking into his empty pint. But please don't assume I'm insinuating that the Irish drink too much. No, it's just that Paddy had happened to have finished his drink at the particular point in the story. I mean, I'm not Irish, and I drink like a fish. In fact, let's change it. Horatio looked up from his empty pint glass, while Paddy put down his drink, and they both looked over to Eugene. What?
Cows can see the ozone layer.
Where'd he get that from?
Here, in the paper, there's an article called 25 Things You Don't Know About Animals.
What else does it say? Eugene scanned the paper for another animal-based fact.
Well, rabbits can count up to 6.
Really?
Oh, yes. Would the newspaper lie to us?
Ah, true. Eugene looked for another fact in the paper.
Did you know that octopuses...
Paddy interrupted him. Octopi!
Really? You can make pies out of octopuses?
Paddy sighed. No, the plural for octopus is octopi.
The what?
The plural. When there's more than one of something. You see, you have 1 octopus, but 2 octopi. And that's how, on my 18th birthday, I both learned the plural of octopus and what plural even means. It was at this point that Horatio spoke up.
Will you pair stop going on about bloody octopuses?
You mean bloody octopi?
I know what I mean.
How come you're in such a bad mood, Horatio?
Because you decided to have your car serviced today.
What's wrong with that?
It's meant to be the getaway car.
Yes, I know, but the dashboard light needs fixing as soon as possible.
How are we meant to get away now?
We could catch the bus. It was at this point, as I remember, Horatio started to get quite agitated.
So, let me get this straight. So we do over the off-license. Then, as we're running away with the bags full of loot, we go and stand at a bus stop, waiting for the bus.
No, we'd have to time the robbery around the bus timetable.
I've already planned this thing down to the last detail. I'm not going to scrap the whole thing so we can hop straight onto a bus when we're trying to get away.
Plus, as I recall, there were roadworks being done on Caesar Avenue, which had put the bus service completely off schedule.
How about we get a taxi?
How do you mean?
Well, we order a taxi and tell him to wait outside the off-license, so we can run into the taxi and bugger off.
Hey, and when he drops us off and asks us for the taxi fare, we can rob him too.
How?
Paddy pulled a firearm out from underneath the table and held it in the air for everyone to see. "We've got guns, haven't we?" Horatio immediately grabbed hold of Paddy's hand and forced it back under the table.
Put that bloody thing down, for God's sake.
"Sorry."
What if there was a copper in here?
Well, we have been discussing the robbery for 3 minutes now.
That may very well be the case, but he could have arrested us for carrying firearms. How bad would we look if we were arrested before we even committed the robbery?
Pretty bad, to be honest.
Exactly. You pair want another drink?
Aye, sure.
Yes. Can I have some nuts, too?
No problem.
And some crisps while you're at it, mate.
Right. 1 lager, 1 Guinness, 1 double whiskey, a packet of nuts, and some of the finest ready-sorted crisps coming right up.
Horatio rose to his feet and staggered over to the bar. He had only had 2 pints prior to this round. He wasn't drunk, just had a limp from playing football with the lads on Sunday. Before I carry on for the sake of the joke, the barmaid was Australian, but that's not important. Anyway, back to the joke. I remember that Eugene continued reading his paper. "Do you remember Octopussy?"
What? The film? Or the person?
"The film."
Yes, of course I do. Classic Bond. What's made you bring that up?
"I don't know. Must have been all that talk about octopuses."
Oh, right.
Horatio returned to the table with 3 drinks in hand, a packet of nuts and a fine packet of ready-sorted crisps.
What are you pair mumbling on about?
"Octopussy."
Why?
All that talk about octopuses has set him off.
Oh, right.
Eugene peered over the top of his paper, where he spotted the nuts on the table by him, ripping open the packet and feasting upon them.
Who's the best Bond, then?
Sean Connery. Eugene, who had a mouthful of nuts, butted in.
Sean Connery.
"Who's yours, H?" For those of you unaware, the H stood for Horatio. I suppose I could use H for the rest of this joke, but I think it's just plain lazy. After all, I am a whiz with the dictionary. Now back to the question in hand.
Sean Connery. I suppose that's quite unanimous then, really. Sean Connery is the best Bond.
Unanimous? Isn't that when you can use both your hands?
No, it isn't.
Oh, right. What is it then?
What's what?
When you can use both hands.
Eugene, everyone can use both their hands.
No. When instead of being right-handed or left-handed, you can use them both.
Oh, that? I don't know.
Ambidextrous, I think.
No, it's not that.
Pseudonym?
No, that was a ship that sank in the 70s. I can vouch for that. I was on the ship at the time it sank.
Yes. The pseudonym adventure.
No. Something about that doesn't sound right. Wasn't that a film about a spaceship?
No, that's Alien.
Really?
Yes, in space. No one can hear you scream. It's about spaceships.
Is that true? No one can hear screams in space?
Yes, it was something we learnt in science. Space is a hoover or something, and sound doesn't travel in a hoover or something like that.
Then how come hoovers make a load of noise when you use them?
One of the mysteries of life, I suppose.
Since this story, scientists have found out the answer to this mystery. If you wish to find out more, then please text Hoover to your local scientist.
Offer subject to terms and conditions. Plush toy may be stuffed with recycle bandages. Texts are charged at standard network rates, or your service provided plus $5 charged per letter.
I'm still sure it's ambidextrous.
What? Hoovers?
No, the hand thing.
Are octopuses right or left-handed?
I reckon they're right-handed.
Yes, but they have more than just a right hand and a left hand. They're multi-handed.
Well, that's just confused the matter.
Before you ask me, I have no idea whether octopuses are right or left-handed. Why don't we text our local scientist?
Is that one of those dirty text services?
No, you text this scientist a question, and he'll answer it.
Oh, right. Text them then.
Okay. Paddy pulled out his mobile phone and began writing out the text before Horatio's previous question finally sunk in. What do you mean? Is it a dirty text service? What sort of a person do you think I am?
Obviously, the sort of person who uses the dirty text services.
No, I merely thought it sounded like one of those numbers.
Oh, you think I'm a pervert?
Not a pervert, but you do seem the sort of person that watches porn.
But I'm not.
How about that time we went to the video store? What video did you rent?
Double Indemnity.
Need I say more?
Again, if you fail to understand this joke, I suggest you go and rent a copy of Double Indemnity. No, the film's a classic thriller.
Then why's the cover of a man and a woman kissing?
Before Paddy could answer, his phone went off. We've got an answer for our question.
Well, what did the scientist say?
Don't waste my time.
He's not a very nice scientist, is he?
Don't worry. If you text the scientist, he will respond with a far nicer answer. His wife had just left him that day. Paddy glanced at his phone. I could have sworn he was texting the scientist again. Hey, is that the time? Horatio looked at his watch.
Ah, drink up, lads. It's time we're off.
Finishing their drinks, they got up onto their feet.
Right. We all know the plan, right?
Aye, so. We all enter the shop at different times and get all the areas covered. Then at precisely 1:15, we stick 'em up.
Excellent. Paddy here, you order the taxi.
Paddy tried to call the taxi company on his phone, but he was out of credit. That's strange. I had £25 this morning, so.
So, we've no taxi?
It would appear so.
Looks like we're catching the bus, then.
Yes, I guess. I had it all planned out to the last detail, though.
Well, these things happen. They all walked out of the pub. And the punchline of the joke? Well, when they went to the shop, it was closed for refurbishment for the next 2 weeks. The dum-dum-tsh. Actually, I don't think that was a joke, was it?